friends, and welcome to today's class. For today, there are no props required, but if you like to have a set of blocks, a blanket nearby for a little support, you are more than welcome to have those and use them as you feel like you need. Otherwise, whenever you have your mat, your space to practice, let's go ahead and meet in a seated position, sitting on our heels, sitting on our shins. And so with this, if you'd like a block to kind of prop your seat up, if you'd like a blanket to kind of cushion your seat, you are more than welcome to grab those here. And wherever you choose to be, you can find just a subtle space between your thighs, between your shins, letting the tops of the feet rest onto the earth, hips stack onto the heels, and finding a nice tall spine. Allowing the palms to rest onto the thighs. Maybe allowing them to move up and down the thighs until they find their little home, their space to rest. And then begin to soften the gaze, close the eyes. Turning your attention inward, focusing onto the breath. Just taking a few moments to scan the body and just use your breath to soften your space, soften the mind, and just turning the energy inward. And taking these next few breaths to settle in, to arrive, to acknowledge the status of your being as you arrive onto the mat today. Maybe the reason that brought you on the mat, is it because you're just trying to move some energy around? Or are you trying to create space within the body? Is it for your mind or your body or both? Whatever your reason for showing up today, give yourself a little moment of gratitude for following through, for making this moment happen. Using your breath to feel connected to yourself. So staying in this introverted space, whether you keep your palms down onto your thighs, or you bring one hand to heart center, one hand toward your belly. And take 3 more deep breaths here. Go ahead and blink the eyes open. Shift your weight forward, coming onto the hands, and then tuck those toes underneath you. And using the connection of your hands down onto your mat, gently press those hips back down toward your heels. As much as you are able to comfortably, because we're going to just find some space within the soles of the feet. And we're going to try to find some cat-cows here. So from here, go ahead and use that connection to pull the chest and heart forward, tailbone flicks back behind you. And then exhale, round, tuck the tailbone underneath you, press through the heels of the hands, like you're pushing yourself, oh my goodness, pushing yourself toward the back of the mat. Inhale, pull forward. Exhale, round. Inhale, pull forward. Using that connection of your hands onto the mat to help guide your movement. On the exhale, you round your back toward the back of the mat. Chin tucks down. Inhale, pull forward, one more round here. Exhale, round. Inhale, come back forward. Shift your weight into the hands, untuck your toes. And then come back, hips to heels. Maybe the fingertips come towards your hips. Maybe you rock back. Maybe you find a nice chest opener. Maybe find a nice hip opener. Or if you enjoy working through the feet, through the ankles, maybe you rock the knees up in toward the chest, roll up onto your toes, stretching through the front of the ankle. Options. Explore all, explore one, explore none. Come on back down. Hands come back in front of you. Tuck those toes once more. Up and back, downward facing dog. As the chest comes between the shoulders, heels sink toward the earth, hips rise toward the sky. Take your time settling into this space. Don't rush into the pedaling of the legs. Just sinking back into space. So as the chest falls, as the body falls close to the mat, as the hips lift high, enjoy that settling into this space before rocking through it. And then that gives you the opportunity to really explore, okay, what do I need next? Do I want to work through the upper back a little bit more? Do I want to find a deeper hinge in the hips? Do I want to feel more length within the back line of the body? Do I need to work through the outer hips? Sometimes we're in a rush to go through that similar pattern that we're always used to. So slow your pace down and settle. 2 more breaths. Rise up high onto the toes, roll over the toes, drop the knees down. Hips back toward the heels. Come up into toes pose. Knees stay down, hips down onto the heels. Inhale, hands up toward the sky. Exhale, cactus the arms. Open the chest. Send the heart toward the sky. Inhale, arms up toward the sky, lift up. Exhale, cactus. Open. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Hands come out in front of the knees. Bring the feet a little bit wider toward the edges of the mat. And then rock your weight back in toward your heels. Come back toward the back of the mat, passive squat. As you settle into this space, find a little shimmy side to side as you nestle the hips down in between the thighs. Using the connection of the elbows inside the knees to open up into your space. Nice long spine. Using that weight shift left to right to open up a little bit deeper into those hips. Like you're nestling into your own body. Let it feel good. I mentioned a few props that can be helpful in this space, so you can always grab that blanket, slip it underneath your heels if that's something that would support your shape here. And then just settle into center, feel the sensations deep within the hips, the length within the spine, the engagement within the back body to help keep you nice and lifted here. And on the exhale, hands plant, straighten the legs, forward fold. Feel free to find those subtle weight shifts again. As the chest falls heavy down toward the earth, the hips lift up toward the sky. So even in our more stationary or longer holds, there is still a bit of effort and mindfulness wherever you are. So trying to create a little bit more length within the back line of the body. Gentle pull of the chest, gentle lift of the hips. Feel free to keep this wider stance, or you can bring your feet hips width distance, whichever you prefer. We're going to plant the right hand, we're going to bend the right knee, we're going to open that left arm up toward the sky, find a twist. Long across the arms. Reach that left arm up and overhead. Keep the length within the side bodies. Reaching those left fingertips until you spin the chest down. Left hand plants, left knee bends. Right arm is sent up toward the sky. Open up. Push that right knee back in space. as the left knee bends long across the arms. Reach that left arm up and overhead. Really feel that reach lengthen through the side bodies until that right hand comes down. Find your forward fold. On the inhale, deep bend to the knees, slowly roll up to stand. Press the hips forward, unravel the spine, arms up toward the sky, reach tall. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Inhale, arms up overhead, reach tall. Soft bend to the knees, reach and lift over toward the right side. Lengthen through that left side, open through that rib cage. Take a deep breath into that space. Exhale, settle into it. Inhale back up through center, reach nice and tall. Grab hold of that right wrist and reach and lift over toward the left. Create space, opening through that rib cage. Inhale, breathe it in. Exhale, settle in. Inhale back through center. Exhale, hands come through heart center as you hinge forward. Find that fold. Inhale, halfway lift, drag and reach that heart forward between the shoulders, gazing forward. Exhale, find that fold. Inhale, drop the hips down, find that passive squat. Settle in, tall spine. Hips are open, using that connection of the upper body to help guide that space. And then go ahead and shift your weight forward, come onto the hands, drop the knees. Bring those feet back behind the knees, coming up and down. Forward facing dog is where we'll meet. Find your breath. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, bend the knee, open that hip up and toward the right. Stay strong in the upper body. Really grounding down through that left foot as you reach the right thigh up and back behind you. Pressing through the heels of the hands to keep your shape nice and lifted. Inhale, square it off. Exhale, bend that left knee, right elbow, to plant the right foot outside the right hand. Drop those hips down, chest lifts. Really allowing that left hip to sink heavy, heavy, heavy down toward the mat, toward the earth. And keeping that right knee open toward the edge of the mat. And then drop that left knee down. Untuck the back toes, plant the left hand, open that right arm up and toward the sky, find a twist. Long across the arms. Right hand comes back down toward the earth. Lift the back toes, or tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Send the hips back toward the back of the mat. Bend into the left knee as the right toes lift up toward the sky. Like you're coming into a skandasana, but a very lifted shape. And your hands are staying planted just inside that right leg. So you're opening up through the left rib cage, through the back line of that right leg. Shift your weight back forward. Spin the left heel up toward the sky. Plant the hands, step the right foot back to meet the left. Exhale, downward facing dog. Settle in. Find your breath. Inhale, left leg lifts up toward the sky. Bend that knee, open the hip up toward the left side of the room. Really reach those left toes back in space as that right heel anchors heavy toward the earth. Strong in the upper body to keep the integrity of your shape here. Square off. The left toes reach up toward the sky. Bend in that right knee as you send the left foot outside the left hand. Soft landing. Settle in. Drive that right heel back behind you. Open through the front of that right hip. Really nestle that rib cage inside the left knee. Sink that right hip down toward the earth. Sink it down, sink it down, sink it down until that right knee comes down. Untuck the back toes. Plant the right hand. Open that left arm toward the sky. Find a twisted lunge here. Really reaching up high toward the sky, long across the arms. Maybe allow that left knee to open up just a little bit. Left hand comes back down to meet the right. Tuck the back toes. Lift the back knee, and then drop that right heel down. Bend into that right knee as you send the hips back. Left toes lift up toward the sky like you're coming into a Skandasana. Keep those fingertips planted inside that left leg. Opening through that right rib cage and through the back line of the left leg. Maybe a little into the inner thigh. Come back into that left foot. Spin onto the back toes, plant the hands. Left foot comes back to meet the right. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, heels lift. Exhale, bend the knees, gaze forward. Round and ripple the spine to high plank, nice and slow. Pause and high plank. Exhale, bend the knees, send the hips up and back, downward facing dog. 2 more rounds. Inhale, heels lift. Exhale, bend the knees, gaze forward. Round and ripple, nice and slow. Feel in your space. Pause. Exhale, bend the knees, send the hips up and back. Downward facing dog, 1 more round. Inhale, heels lift. Exhale, bend the knees, gaze forward. Round and ripple. High plank and pause. Downward facing dog, exhale. Inhale, right leg lifts up high toward the sky. Bend the knees, open the hip. Bend the knee, open the hip. Square the hip off. Right foot comes outside the right hand. Settle into your lunge. Let that hip sink heavy. Drop the knee down. Untuck the toe. Plant the left hand, open up. Find your twist. If you want to deepen your twist, tuck that back toe back underneath you. Maybe lift that knee. And keep reaching that right arm back behind you as you spin onto the outer blades of the hands. Come into a low horizon lunge. Come on back. Plant the right hand, drop that back heel. Click it in as you send the hips back, Skandasana. Nice lifted shape here. Come on back forward, spin onto the back toes. Plant the hands, right foot comes back to meet the left. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg, left leg lifts, bend the knee, open the hip. Reach up high, open that space here, really reach the left toes back behind you. Square it off. Left foot comes outside the left hand. Find your way there. Once the left foot plants, drop that right heel back behind you. Let the hips fall heavy. Drop the back knee down. Plant the right hand, open up. Find your twisted lizard lunge. Feel free to widen the stance of that right hand to lift that back knee once more. Coming into that low horizon lunge, really let those hips sink low as you reach the left fingertips toward the back of the mat. Come on back, find that lunge. Spin the right heel down, send the hips back toward the back of the mat. Lifted Skandasana. Come on back forward. Plant the hands, spin onto the back toes. Left foot comes back to meet the right. Exhale, downward facing dog. Spinal waves, 3 rounds at your own pace. Inhale, the heels are lifting. Exhale, bend the knees. You're going to gaze forward. Making your way to high plank. Pausing. Then sending the hips up and back. 2 more rounds. Working with your breath, moving with your breath. At a pace that makes sense for where you are. Last round. Everyone's going to meet in downward facing dog. And settle into your space. Strong through the upper body.
Lifted through the hips. Heavy within the heels, maybe finding a slight bend in those knees. And slowly walk the hands just a step, maybe the distance of your hands, like a little hand's worth back. And then press through the heels of the hands once more, send those hips up. Maybe the heels fall a little bit closer down toward the earth. Another little step. Press through the heels of the hands, really lift those hips up toward the sky. And one more step back. Maybe come up onto your fingertips if that makes this position a little bit more accessible. To really reach those hips up and back behind you. Really creating length in that space. That's the goal here. While keeping a nice long spine. Walk back one more step. Last one here. Come back even closer. So now your hands should be just in front of the feet. Then go ahead, grab opposite elbows, find ragdoll. Head hangs heavy. Three more breaths. Nice and slow, deepen the bend in your knees until your sit bones reach down to the earth. Then you're going to extend the legs out in front of you. Give them a little shake. Find a nice tall spine. And then go ahead and bring the heels back in toward you. So you're coming into a little bit of a bear stance here. Or coming into bear stance here. Maybe scooch a little bit forward so you're right on top of those sit bones. Hands are propped back behind you. Chest is lifted, spine is long. And then from here we're going to start to find some windshield wipers. So you're going to go ahead and start toward the left, dropping that right knee in, left knee open. Try to keep your chest facing the top of the mat, finding a nice little twist here. And then start to open up through the right hip, drive that knee. Keep that left knee anchored until it finally starts to chase the right. And then the right knee falls, left knee falls in. Keeping that chest open. Inhale back, open. Really pressing that left knee open, 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 and then the right knee finally chases it to fall falling towards the center. Chest is open. Drive the right knee out. Open, open, open. And then left knee falls in. We're going to do one more round each side. Drive that left knee. The right knee falls. Find that nice twist. Right knee opens, left knee falls. Inhale back towards center. Really drive both those knees open. Spine is long, shoulders are rolled out and open. And then go ahead and step the feet toward one another. Just go ahead and give yourself a nice little hug. Squeezing the knees in towards the chest, finding a nice tall spine. And then go ahead and find a cross-legged seated position. Any shin can be in front. We will switch sides. So go ahead and find a nice tall seat. And then exhale, just find a fold. If you had blocks here, if you had a blanket, you can sneak that blanket underneath your sit bones. If you had a block, you can always rest that in front of you so you can rest your forehead down. Not required. But if you had them nearby, that's available to you. Go ahead and sit up nice and tall. Walk those hands back. Rock the hips back so you can switch the cross of your legs. Bring the opposite side in front. Reintegrate with that nice tall seat. And then on the exhale, slowly fold forward. And go ahead and walk yourself back up to that tall seat. Uncross the legs. Go ahead and bring the feet out in front of you. If hands are behind your hips, they can be pointed in any direction that is comfortable for your shoulders. I like to just kind of open them out onto an angle. And then you're going to press the hips up toward the sky. You're going to come into a reverse tabletop. Open up through the front of the hips. Open through the shoulders. Gaze toward the sky. Exhale, lower the hips down. 2 more. Inhale, lift and open. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Go ahead and grab hold of those shins and slowly lower down onto your back. Making your way into Shavasana. Your legs come nice and wide, feeling the edges of your mat. And then go ahead and rest one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart. And allow your eyes to soften to a close. Use that connection of your hands on your body to just feel that energy, the space you created. Acknowledging how you feel now versus when you first came onto your mat. Were you able to accomplish what you sought out to do? Were you able to fully show up for yourself here in class? Even if your mind bounced around every once in a while, it's natural. Just take these last few moments, few breaths to reconnect with yourself. Settle the mind, settle the body. Soften any hardened edges that still remain. Feel free to soften your shape in any way that you feel like you need, using whatever props that you feel like would be supported here in your shape, in your space. And if you'd like to take a different posture other than Shavasana, please feel free. As always, I appreciate y'all for being here, for following along and allowing me to be your guide here in this practice. If you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe, leave a comment, and I look forward to seeing y'all next time. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day.